Okay, so now that we have our vectors, now we have to set what are called toolpaths. The toolpath is the tool that actually carves out the sign. This is kind of the last step. Okay, so I'm going to go to toolpaths. That's this tab over here. I'm going to click it so it opens up, and then see this little pin right here? I'm going to click that pin so that the toolpath stays out. So you might end up selecting doing different toolpaths for different parts depending on how deep they're going to carve. But I'm going to start with one, and then you can always check with Mr. Lee, your teacher, Mr. Lee, to see how you need to change some of the carving parameters. But for now, I'm going to select everything. So I'm in my Edit Objects tool. I'm going to my selection arrow. I'm going to drag a box around everything. You're going to know it's selected when it's all pink. You want to make sure that you get it all. So here you can see that some is pink and some is not. So I want to get everything that's pink, okay, that is selected. And then we're going to be using this type of toolpath operation called a vcarve. Okay, so we're going to use vcarve. And for us, we want to make sure that our tool is selected to the right tool. Yours probably will be, but I'm going to change my tool here. I'm going to select a new tool in the tool area. Taking a moment. Sorry about that. Come on now. There we go. So what you want to make sure over here in this menu, you want to make sure that the tool that we've chosen, so we're going to open this up, and we're going to choose what's called a V-bit. So you want to make sure you're in V-bits here, so you can see V-bits, and we're going to choose a 60-degree quarter-inch V-bits. Okay, so that's the bit that we're using, and click OK. Apply, and then click OK, and then you can close that out, and that should be 60-degree quarter-inch drill V-bit. Okay. Next thing we're going to do is this is called the first. Nothing else you have to change on here. Okay. We might end up changing the start depth a little bit. We'll try that in a moment. So you're going to because we're doing everything, I'm going to change the name of this to all because it's everything on the side. We might end up making some changes. So, and then I'm going to click calc. Oh, I lost it. Here we go. Whoop. And then hit calculate. And then it's going to bring you this screen. This is cool. What this is like a virtual model of what your sign is going to look like. It just kind of shows you what the sign is going to look like. I have mine set at MDF. I'm going to change it to pine. I think there's pine here somewhere. Yep, because we're going to be carving out a pine. So there you go. A little bit of pine. Look a little look of pine. And then I'm going to press run. And that's what my sign is going to look like. And what's kind of cool is we're going to fill up in the sign with black. So we can actually go here where it says toolpath global fill color. We can change it to not yellow. We can change it to black. And that kind of gives you a sense of what it's going to look like. And that actually looks pretty good. Except I think I like this guy to be a little deeper, like and a little thicker than my other lines, so I could really make it show out. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back to new. I'm just going to add another toolpath and have this carve it again. So I'm going to select these vectors, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to drag a box. And for this operation, this is kind of a cool feature. So if I went from left to right and I select it, nothing happens because I have to select the entire thing. But if I drag the opposite way, if I go from right to left and make a box, anything that my box touches going from left to right, from right to left, it will select those vectors. So you can see I go this way, it selects those vectors. I go this way, it does not. That way it does not. This way it does. So I'm going to select those vectors. I'm going to close this dock, and I'm going to create a new toolpath. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to bump up these numbers. I'm going to make this 0.0. It's important. Don't forget the 0. I'm going to make this 0.03 inches. That's my start depth. And then I'm going to click calc. And this, I'm going to call this Big Roo as the toolpath. And I'm going to hit calculate. And now watch when I press play. Yeah, there, I carved it a little deeper. So that's good. So I have these two toolpaths. So there we go. That's the last step, and so you can sort of play around with these. If you don't like anything, you can check boxes on them, and then right click and then delete them all, delete a single one, and go back and try and sort of moving around, trying out different vectors and see what happens. And obviously, your teacher will be wandering around helping you to look at this and figure it out. The last step will be on getting this out of vcarve to get to the carving machine.